This is from Good Medicine Society. You are blessed if you can keep your beautiful light within when the true reality of this world is revealed to you. You are divine when you can give unconditional love to others who are only superficial and conditional. You are a higher soul in this realm when you will no longer value what the masses value. You are walking in beauty when everything you say and everything you do is a prayer. For we must be the higher and evolved beings that will create the new blueprint for the next generations that will live in the golden age. We must build the bridge for those in the future to cross over troubled waters to the new sacred circle of life. We must be the torchbearers that will pass the eighth fire of the ancestors and old ways to the seventh generation. We will keep sharing the original instructions so many can be guided and walk that good road. We will have the new codes within us that we will transfer to other kindred spirits who will start this new time. We will be the wisdom keepers who will share to all unconditionally so we can raise the collective consciousness of the world. Ikosi by Joseph White Eagle. That's my thoughts for today.
Good morning, everybody. I'll tell you, it's been a week of trying to figure out what I wanted to say or not say. And I think Spirit has just been kind of leading me, trying to clear my mind and let it come through. But one of the things that I had read the other week on one of the readings, I read a poem by this beautiful young woman that I've discovered. She's over across the pond from us in England, and she is just a beautiful, gifted writer. And I wanted to start just because I kept reading this poem over and over again, and I just started thinking about all these issues from my life, and probably, hopefully, this I can share in equal reverence that, we're always on this search for self-discovery. And, everybody's always on that goal is I want to be happy. I want to find that, golden star ahead of me. I want to, for some of us on this spiritual path where we're looking for self-discovery. And, will we find it like Buddha sitting under a tree? Probably not, but there are so many ways to self-discovery. And I first wanted to read this poem that just touched my heart so much. And it's all about finding ourselves. And this young woman named Kit Britt said, "We don't find ourselves all at once. It's not a sudden revelation. It's not a single moment of clarity where the mirror finally reflects who we are. It happens slowly, like the tide pulling up on the shore, closer, like sunlight stretching across a darkened room. And we find pieces of ourselves in the quiet moments and in the chaotic ones. In the way a song can make our chest ache, or way a stranger's kindness feels like a balm on an old wound. We learn what we love and the things we return to over and over, like the books that phrase at the edge from too many readings, or the flavors we can't resist tasting twice, or the streets that call us back like old friends waiting with open arms. And we learn who we love, not just in the sparks of passion, but in the soft hum of belonging. The way their laugh feels like home, and the way their absence echoes in the places you couldn't feel or remember how empty they were. We try new things, some of them leaving scars, others leaving us breathless, standing on the edge of something that feels bigger than ourselves. The first time we climb a mountain and we see the world lay bare, the first time we leap into a cold ocean embracing by the sea and feel the water cleanse something we didn't know we were holding on to. We learn that we hate this, we love that. We make mistakes that sting for years. We make joys that bloom, and we make choices that bloom into joy. We find ourselves in the moments where our hearts race so fast, we forget where we are when the wind whips against our skin. And for a second, we feel alive in a way that nothing else can touch. And it's not over. It never is. We're not puzzles waiting to be completed, but maps unfolding, revealing paths we didn't know existed. We are the sum of everything, every love, every loss, every taste, every risk that makes us tremble every quiet morning that we choose to begin again. So, in this beautiful poem, I really just started thinking about my path to self-discovery and our human journey. And I think life at its core is about becoming. When I was a child, I remembered being really having those carefree moments. I spent hours in the woods and in fields around me, playing out and then playing with friends in backyards until it was dusk, and just being me and having fun. And then at some point I moved to New Jersey, which is a beautiful state, but in its own place, it had its own challenges for me. And this was my journey. And suddenly, simply being nice wasn't enough anymore. I wasn't athletic. I was a little artistic, kind of gawky, but I still couldn't just be me because I was made fun of. And then you start putting on masks. I did. And I said, well, if I act a certain way, people will accept me. And then I started doing it at home with my parents. When I started talking about the things I wanted to do as I grew up, I wasn't always supported. In fact, my family came from a very old-fashioned 1950s, I can't say quite leave it to Beaver. My mom didn't vacuum in pearls in a dress, but what it was is they expected me to do the same, get married, have children, and just live a life like them, which I clearly, when I look back now, I did nothing of the sort. But I also realized as I was putting on and off different masks, sometimes showing a bit of me, sometimes not, I kept growing and trying to go inward, looking at myself, saying, what do I want? And some people are very fortunate and blessed in this life to leapfrog into life and say, I know I want to be a doctor. I know I want to be a nurse. I know I want to be an engineer or an Indian chief, whatever, or an artist. Instead of leapfrogging, I took baby steps. And I really felt step after step in my journey, it was really a challenge. And I just had to keep moving forward. But I started feeling that when I look back, I sort of stumbled towards enlightenment or self-awareness. And it's tempting to believe that one day we'll stumble upon some grand big moment and have this epiphany that, oh, I get it now. I get it. I know who I am. I know what all of this is about. And every day I've learned that's not what happens to me. Every day we are dynamic human beings and we're constantly changing. And we understand that we're always evolving, through our experiences. And life offers us moments of reflection and revelation. So sometimes you're in those quiet moments of solitude, or you're in those chaotic emotions of everything happening around you. And hopefully you embrace just a little bit more of who you are. And I started thinking about how all of us, no matter how similar we are or how different, even if we are similar, and so many times we embrace friends around us who have a lot of the same ideas, maybe some of the same upbringing, maybe the same background of school or jobs or whatever it is, but each one of us is so uniquely different. And I started to think about what makes me different compared to other people and makes me so unique and what makes you unique. And I was looking up 30 things that are just these goals that we have in life, whether it's weddings, children, going to college, going to high school. You know, I realized too when I read these 30 things that somebody had posted, I've gotten through about 25 of them, almost 30. So I know which side of life I'm on right now. But I also realized when I look back at my life, I used to be in theater. And when someone hands you a script and you have to start reading lines, when you read a line, it really isn't about what is being said right in front of you. It's all the subtext, as we call it. How do you say that line because of the subtext of your life, of your experiences that you're bringing forward into reading this? So if you were given the same line that I was, we could read it so differently because of all the millions of things that we have experienced in life. And sometimes when we talk about what it is that makes us us, if I was to sit here, I could list all those top goals and things I'd done. But more importantly, it's all the subtext of the million little things that I've even forgotten that makes me who I am. And it takes time for you to know me or for me to know you, to know all those little things that make you uniquely you in your path to self-discovery. And then, of course, we're going to get back to love. And you know, for me, that those of you who've heard me talk before, I really look at self-love because I really believe for hundreds of years, if not thousands, we've always been taught, especially in our religious beliefs, that love is something outside of us, that we have to love others and look at others and give to others. And while that is really an important place in our journey, it gives us that sense of belonging in our community. It all starts in here. And I think we are all so blessed to be at a point in our lives and in this journey in 2025, where we talk about 3D going into 5D, about the evolution of life, and that we are evolving as human beings more than ever before, that we go inward and we really look at that self-discovery and finding how we love ourselves so that we can take down those masks and really show each other who we are and what we are on this journey. Even if it's not always met with positivity, but we are still who we are, scars or not. We look inward and it reveals the depths of who we are and what our spirit's really about. And so I think love teaches us about connection. It teaches us about vulnerability and the beauty of just being seen, not just for who we are, but who we're becoming. And I remember as a young nurse, I went into nursing really against my parents' wishes. I had taken off my mask. I had been in theater, and I found that as much as I had loved theater, it didn't strike a passion in me. I didn't need to be up on stage all the time having people look at me, and I felt there was a different calling that was quieter and more subtle. And I found a call for nursing where I could sit with patients and their families one by one. And I remember even in my 20s when I was looking at my patients, I looked at these older people who taught me so much. They really became my teachers. And I looked at them and I remember seeing couples where one couple was holding the hand of another couple and they were quite elderly. And in my world, who knows what elderly was at that time when I was in my 20s. They were probably my age now, but they looked so loving to each other. And I realized that all of those big moments, the wedding that they went through, the children that they had, it didn't speak to what they were going through right at that moment, or at least not completely. It was all those small moments when they were alone that gave them that point where they could hold each other's hands when one of them was so vulnerable and their body was no longer allowing them to do what they wanted to do. And their partner was right at their side, holding them. And the physical beauty had faded, but the inner beauty had come out. And they both embraced each other with so much love. And I thought, even then, God, they discovered themselves through each other, through their families, through their experiences. And I thought, what a gift in this life. Can we go inward and find ourselves and discover that love for ourselves so that we can give the love to others? It's just something that I think this journey of self-discovery takes so much risk and so much courage. And I've heard through different spiritual teachers that coming into this life, and you've probably heard this also because you're so many of you are on this spiritual journey, that coming into this life is like the master school. We're not in kindergarten anymore. We are taking on really hard lessons when we come here to experience, to grow, to be challenged. And there are many times I've said, I've had enough with the growing and the challenging. Can I take a break? Can I have a vacation? And yet life continues and more things come to me. And then I learn, hey, maybe I didn't want the thing I thought I wanted so much. And later it turned out that it was a good thing that I didn't have it. And I learned self-discovery in that. And I learned even in that about my own ego and letting go and letting things come to my life and embracing whatever comes, whether it's hard, whether it's difficult or easy and light. It's a mix. And I don't think that we'll ever come through this life on this even path, because if we did, it would be rather boring. I've said to several friends that if I could sit on a beach in the perfect place of paradise with the perfect body and the perfect drink with 5 umbrellas in it, looking at that beautiful glass encased water that just flows up and down on white sandy beach, it would be wonderful for about a week, maybe at most a month. And then I'd be looking for something new in my beautiful paradise. I'd be looking for some new change, some new challenge, some new something that makes me look at myself going inward, giving me a sense of purpose and bringing the light out in me. So I think that when we think we have scars, that from all these moments of self-discovery that haven't turned out the way we want, they're not marks of failure, but they're definitely evidences of growth. And that they remind us that we dared to try and we dared to risk ourselves. And we dared to make mistakes. And that's what makes us human. I keep also hearing that there's a lot of entities out there that want to come in here and take this journey with us because it's a very exciting ride. And I'll admit, I don't think I want to ride the roller coaster for 1,000 years. There are times it's nice to have a break. But I think that path to self-discovery is an exciting one, and it's an amazing one that makes me wake up every day and say, okay, next challenge, next beautiful moment, next phone call with a friend that I love, or seeing a smile of someone that I care about, or meeting a stranger where I open the door for them or they open it for me. Or in New Jersey, it's about letting somebody go first in their car, big time. But in that poem, it said something about we are not puzzles waiting for the final piece to fall in place. but we are maps unfolding, endlessly revealing new paths on our journey. And I don't care whether you're 9 or you're 109, this journey is an amazing one. And even when you feel as though you're being beaten down, I hope you realize that you are never alone, that there are guides and beings all around you. And in our spiritualist journey, we are fortunate enough to believe that. I have felt it, seen it, and heard it in my life so frequently. And I say, take those quiet moments when life is hard and just go inward for that self-discovery, because life is challenging. But embrace the flow and let go of the definite need for answers and the definitions of what others want us to become. And just embrace yourself. We can trust the process of becoming. It invites us to be curious, but it does take some courage. And I think if we see ourselves as so much more than ourselves, because there is something to be said for this journey, good or bad, all of this has a place and purpose. So this week, take a baby step into your journey and continue to be amazed how wonderful you are and how exciting this world is, even when it's tough. Take a breath and look at all the gifts you have around you and even the unseen ones that are here supporting you. I send you love and thanks for listening to me today. Namaste.
Thank you so much.